If it takes two to dance, then Shohei Ohtani might as well be dancing alone. A player who throws and bats so well that he's considered almost flawless. Sounds like a myth, but this unicorn is as real as it gets. Description of beauty as a pitcher and hitter. We can agree that any pitcher who strikes batters out with fastballs and hits home runs off top pitchers is nothing short of a spectacle to witness. And that is just what Shohei Showtime Ohtani is, a modern-day athletic showman. In an era where the game is as technical as ever, players are given specific roles throughout their career, but Ohtani is a jack of multiple trades and is still master of all of them. In 2023, at one point, Kevin Gausman, Carlos Rodon, Garrett Cole, and Spencer Strider had 11 games where they had double-digit strikeouts. Ohtani, on the other hand, had 5 more of such games while registering 62 home runs when the other guys couldn't even get a single one. And apparently Ohtani doesn't want us to think he's better than just his peers. Last time we got to see such unprecedented talent was back when Babe Ruth was in the league. But even Ruth is getting bested by Ohtani. The Japanese sensation has already broken Babe Ruth's record for most home runs by a pitcher in a month, with 14 in June of 2023. He's also surpassed Ruth's pitching strikeouts as a player with 100 homers with his 502nd against the Astros in May. And it doesn't stop with Ruth. When Ohtani hit a home run more than twice while reaching base more than 4 times and striking out 10 batters all in one night, he did what no player has done in over a century. Last time something like that was done was in 1890 by Jack Stivetts. No wonder members of other teams in the league consider themselves blessed to have him, even if he's not on their side. One such person who has this thought is Orioles manager Brandon Hyde, who told Brittany Girali of The Athletic this: "We're lucky to have somebody like this in our league, and somebody that has more ability than anybody and can be an MVP candidate on both sides of the ball." And Orioles infielder Adam Frazier shares this viewpoint as well, as he told Noah Trister of the LA Times, "He's a once-in-a-generation player, once in a lifetime really. I'm glad to say I can compete against him because it's fun. He brings out the best in everyone." If people he plays against praise him this much, we have to know what people in his own camp think. Former Angels coach Joe Maddon even described Ohtani as more than just one person. During his MVP season in the American League in 2021, he was the first player in the history of the MLB to be selected as an all-star both as pitcher and a batter. Fast forward a year later and he's leading the league in home runs and sitting third in strikeouts. Ohtani is simply the best of both worlds, a hitter and a pitcher. It's so hard to find players like that, it's almost mythical, and the media has even dubbed him a unicorn. But just how does this unicorn of a player put on these unbelievable performances? Technique of playing. To put up the numbers that he does and draw comparisons to several Hall of Famers, Ohtani does have a few tricks up his sleeve when he's pitching. He can pitch fastballs at speeds over 95 miles per hour, which he does a third of the time when he pitches. The curves on his throws are just as dangerous as their speed. His spitballs have sinks that are so sharp it gets the better of most hitters. Not to mention, his arsenal of pitches includes lethal sliders, cutters, and a changeup. This makes him a hitter's nightmare, as the many possibilities of how he'll pitch make him unpredictable, unreadable, and almost unbeatable. Additionally, Ohtani has one of the most advanced stances in the MLB. When batting, his arms are normally higher than the typical batter, and it has proved very effective. Another technique of his mechanics that tends to fly over our heads is his hip rotation when throwing or swinging. The way he winds up adds up additional strength to his already powerful arms, giving the ball more speed. From the mound to the plate, Ohtani always has his arms busy, but since he pitches with his right hand and bats with his left, neither of his hands is ever overstrained. Besides, his incredible physique also contributes to his strength and physical dominance. Physical build. Showtime is 6'4" and 210 pounds with a muscular build, and these physical attributes, without a doubt, give him an edge. It's why Joe Maddon considers Ohtani to be a freak of nature with his physicality. But things weren't always like this for him. When he was younger, he had a thin frame. He had to improve his diet and workout plan to get those big arms that he has now. And the agility, speed, and toughness Ohtani possesses would have meant nothing if it weren't for his mental strength. You can't argue that Ohtani's position in the league doesn't demand a lot psychologically, as they do physically. The heavy expectations on a superstar, the cultural and social need in comparison to what he is used to growing up, and other things would certainly cause a mental toll. But he's managed to maintain great mental health, otherwise he would have been experiencing a total different story with a superstar. But how has Ohtani been able to get his mind and body to peak condition? Training and diet regimen. Gifted and talented is what everyone would use to describe Ohtani, but what most of us don't know is the type of training he's been undergoing right from a tender age. On an average day, he was spending around 6 hours a day training back when he was in high school student in Japan. In an interview with Ben Verlander of Fox, he described what a normal day for him back then was like, saying, "Then morning practice for an hour or so. We woke up about 6 a.m. or slightly after. Then we'd have morning practice. We'd go to school to study or have class until 4 p.m. And then we'd start after school practice. I wonder how long it was. But it was until 9 or 10 p.m. Then we'd have dinner, another roll call, and then we'd go to sleep. It was just that every day." It's no coincidence that while in Japan he was throwing fastballs with the highest speed in the entire country, and he has the record for fastest in Japan's history with 102.5 miles per hour. In essence, his training has been yielding great results for a while. And since crossing the Pacific Ocean, his accomplishments have gotten greater, his training even harder and smarter. Ohtani pays attention to details. That's why, as part of his pre-game routine, he uses special weighted balls known as plyocore balls, which can measure his metrics so he knows exactly how he's doing. And to make sure he's reaching those top speeds with his swings and pitches, he put the work in to keep his arms beefy by raising deadlifts as heavy as 495 pounds. Seeing the type of weights he's lifting, we shouldn't be too shocked with the wonders he works on the field. One time, he was doing 5 sets of 5 reps of squats with 500 pounds of weight after a game. But it isn't just how hard he trains, but also how intentional his coaches have been about the process that truly makes him a star. Ohtani's been training as a pitcher and a hitter way before he made it to the major league. Back in Japan, when he was still playing for the Nippon Ham Fighters, his coach, Hideki Kuriyama, noticed his natural flair as both a pitcher and a hitter. So instead of developing him as a player in one position, he decided to take the unorthodox route and train Ohtani in both roles. Kuriyama also made the team play with strategies specially designed to allow Ohtani to use his gift to its full potential. Kuriyama certainly owes the world a lot of thanks, wouldn't you say? Anyway, he would be made to believe that with how hard he trains and plays, Ohtani hardly gets time to rest, but that's rather contrary to the case. Ohtani spends up to half his day either sleeping or resting in order to make sure his body is in optimal condition for the next game or workout session. It also shouldn't surprise us to know that Ohtani has a diet as extraordinary as his athleticism. He approaches his meal plans quite in a way not many athletes do. Firstly, he takes his diet personally. He cooks most of his meals by himself with the help of recipes from the team dietitian, and his meals are as big as his role in the team and the impact he's had on the MLB. For his protein intake, he eats as much protein in one meal as an average person would eat across 3. He doesn't just eat a lot of proteins, he eats a variety of them ranging from seafood to red and white meat. Adding to this, Ohtani makes his meal to satisfy his body's demands before that of his taste buds. Putting nutrition over taste means he hardly satisfies his cravings. He's so cautious about what he eats that he's even turned down dinner from his teammates. But as disciplined as he is, he does have a few cheat days where he sneaks chocolate into his diet, but it's never enough to raise alarms. Finally, Shohei Ohtani bats with his left and throws with his right, but he's better than most players at both. If he continues at the pace he's on, he'll be a legend way before he retires. What we're witnessing in real time may seem like an unbelievable myth, but one thing that's not far-fetched is calling Shohei Ohtani the greatest athlete in the world. If you enjoyed this video about Shohei Ohtani, the greatest athlete in the world, check out the video on the screen now or the one we posted below because we're sure you'll like that one too. Let us know in the comments if there's another baseball player whose journey you'd like us to cover. See you there.